ASUS AX86U. What can I say? Takes the win. Welcome back to another video. My name is Nico. So today we're talking about router awesomeness. This is what I could say. Router awesomeness. Now, I've tested a lot of routers. I've bought a whole bunch. I've tested a whole bunch. I have videos below on the comparisons of the 82, the 86, and the 80U where I talk about them. This is the video I'm making for the 86U. I've been using it more, and I gotta tell you, it's just grown on me even better and better as I've gone. I've had no issues with this. It's been great. So I'm gonna, in brief, walk you through the why of Wi-Fi 6, and then talk about this unit specifically, and how this can really change the structure of how you do internet at home or at work. So when we're looking at routers, and I mean, it doesn't really matter what router you purchase. No, it doesn't. Does it get your job done? That's what matters. And everybody out there is looking at, routers being something that, usually comes with the company, the provider that you're going with, and they give you something, but then you have a lot of slowdowns, you have a lot of issues, and it all depends on who's on the network and what's happening with the network. And of course, the idea then becomes, when do you need a router? And that's when you want to upgrade your internal network and make sure your internal network is functioning at optimal connectivity. Now we're getting more and more tools in the shed, so to speak, from all the different appliances to all the different, like, small devices, and you're seeing a slowdown in essence because prioritization isn't happening. And this is where a router like this comes into play. The software does matter of how they prioritize who and what is getting internet in priority sequence. At the same time, we got to look at it in terms of the hardware, and then we got to ask ourselves, is it achieving our workflow? When you look at reviews, especially with Wi-Fi 6, a lot of people out there that are doing the reviews, you're going to find the same thing I found, and they're describing what they're experiencing based on what they're doing, and usually it's gamers. So this is more of a, hey, I'm not going to focus on the gaming. I'm going to focus on what's my workflow. And you might have a similar workflow. And then I'm going to focus on people and how many people are on the network. So my workflow is this NAS system. I have it. It downloads off Google, and I can edit off of it. So I want to be able, when I'm home, to connect to it. When I move to the new studio, I'm getting another NAS system. I want to be able to connect to it with Wi-Fi. I don't want to be, wires and this and that. And I want to be able to edit off of it. And I want to do at least 4K off of it. So the idea then becomes, what do you need in terms of that experience of workflow? And Wi-Fi 6 comes into play, which is something like this that needs to be used in order to achieve that. You're not going to get that router speed with an ISP provider modem / router. So you'll be looking at it and you're saying, now I got to go upgrade to one of these and then connect my devices to it. Now, if you have a lot of people in the house and everybody's using data, or if you're at work and everybody's using a lot of data, maybe you have an office with 5 to 10 to 20 people, this goes a long way. You need to upgrade your router and get something that is powerful enough to handle all the requirements there. So when we're looking at the internet from your ISP provider, it comes into the modem, and then from the modem, it'll come into this router, and from the router, it'll distribute all that data coming in. Now, the router is going to be able to work a lot faster here. This is 2.4 gigabit speed, where the modem will be downloading maybe tops 1.5 gigabit speed. I think that's the most that I've seen from ISP providers thus far. And you look at it and you go, okay, so then when we're talking about internal, and we're talking about it talking to the NAS system, for instance, now we have more bandwidth to play with. And at that, a good system like this, a ASUS product, will have a nice prioritization sequence that will work with you setting up the software. At the same time, we got to think about it and say to ourselves, well, what do we need in terms of, when we're looking at all the different ones in the industry, what do we need in terms of that idea of what drives a good standard? And of where you want to be, because you'll have all the different companies and they all have their their low end, their middle, and then their high end. And the idea is the hardware that's inside, and the hardware inside, you have to start doing that effort to see, hey, what am I buying on the inside? What is this company actually doing? And when we compare the 82U to the 86U to the 88U, this is a pure great example of it. The 86 and the 88U, it has more inside. and it's allowed to do more because it's got more inside, where the 82U half sat. Now, the 82U is a great gaming router, and a lot of people have made, they've shown that it's performed. They've made great videos on that. However, at the same time, it's not just about gaming. My biggest issue between all three, because of the hardware inside, it was me transferring something, and I wanted the sustained data transfer to happen. This one performed the best. So these are the things that we need to look at and ask ourselves, how does this all make sense in the long run? Well, in the long run, what's going to happen? Well, everything's moving. So now all your home devices usually run off a 2.4 gigahertz network. All your faster devices can use that 5 gigahertz network, but you got to be closer to the router, for instance. And the same goes with the AX network, this Wi-Fi 6 AX network, because now we're going to be close to the unit. So if I have this unit and I have my internet connected to this, I need to be within, 10 to 20 feet to really take advantage of the AX, or else I'm not going to get that speed. And we actually see this decrease where you're going from 2 to 2.2 gigabit speed down to 1.4 as you move away from the unit. Now, you will still maintain gigabit speed with this within, the testing I've done is around 30 to 40 feet, but you start to slow down significantly after that. And this is all because it's what's in the inside. Now, when you're looking at something that is not a true Wi-Fi 6, okay, and it doesn't actually have the full capabilities, you need to read that. It's going to be on the box, and that's what happened to me when I purchased my first Wi-Fi 6 router, and it was a TP-Link, and I was like, oh, this is great, and yeah. Now, the marketing is the other side that we have to look at, and as we observe all these things with routers, it's a crazy industry, and it's very creative in the marketing. So before we move forward and explain more a little bit about this unit, let's look at dongnose.com and let's see what his stats are. And then I'll show you some of my stats so you can see that sustainability of data transfer that I've been talking about. Looking at these stats, you can see there's a lot of testing that's going on here. And Dongnose Tech, or dongnose.com, does a lot of testing. And usually it's pretty spot on. And I really come back to these when I'm comparing my numbers to see, am I doing something wrong, or was there a different setup or what occurred? In the case of this router setup, and you can see that the 86U is just hauling it with fast speeds, and this is with a Wi-Fi 6 connection, and it's reaching way over that gigabit speed mark, where the idea here is that the 88U isn't achieving that. And when we saw this in comparison to the 82U, again, it wasn't hitting that gigabit speed. At the same time, the example here that he has, the ASUS also decreases by half when there are two units connected. I didn't find that. I found a decrease, but I didn't find that, drastic. And of course, I found that I didn't find such a big difference in the long range versus short range. At the same time, I am experiencing a distance-wise, a bigger distance than before with any other router, which it also includes the 88U. When we're looking at the Wi-Fi 6 connected to a Wi-Fi 5 client, you can see that the decrease occurs here under gigabit speed, and that is common with almost every other router. But you do see the AX88U really, holding its own there, and it doesn't have that much of a decrease from the Wi-Fi 6 client. So an overall router that does this job very great. That's can be said 100% with the 88U if you were going to go with that. But the 86U, then you're not going for average. Yeah, you're looking at the Wi-Fi 6, and that's why you're buying it. So that's the core, reason of going forward. Now, if we're comparing the 2.4 gigahertz network, you can see here that the 86U is still doing great here, and it's really pushing enough speed here to really put it up with the rest of the competitors. At the same time, when you're looking at this, you would be saying, well, why is this good, and why would you want this over any of the other routers that you would be purchasing? It's a big jump from the 88U. This is 197, this is 260, and I found similar results. And the idea here is that I have my TV and I have a few other things connected to the 2.4 gigahertz network. Now, between that and a Wi-Fi 5 client and you're looking at all the different clients that you're connecting to, whether they're Wi-Fi 5 or 6 on this network. What you want to do is be able to pump out as much push that you can, especially if you're streaming something. So the idea now becomes, the better these numbers are, the better your secondary or devices, or the devices that you don't really pay attention to that much, that have 2.4 gigahertz connection, that this will be up there in terms of strength. And it is a big jump when you compare to the two, especially on the idea of this like long 40-foot range. Now, lastly, it's the 1 gigabit speed connection, wired connection to the NAS performance. And this is very interesting to me because I didn't find the similar results that he did. I did find better results. And with Wi-Fi 6, I mean, I found even better results. So the idea here becomes, what do you really need? And with a 2.5 gigabit connection here, you're getting this fast 148 megabytes, not bits, bytes per second, with the just a 1 gigabit per second connection is 112. Now, let's look at the Wi-Fi 6 connections that I got. 194 megabytes per second on the send. This is just awesome. I'm moving massive data fast, quickly, and efficient. Now, at the same time, I'm looking at this and I'm saying to myself, when I'm moving back, just like, the 20 megabytes per second, just like I'm reading much faster clearly off these hard drives. And we can see that the idea always becomes, how can I keep the sustainable speed moving? And that's what I was looking for. I was looking at the sustainability and making sure that it is going to go in the right direction. Now, when I'm looking at the thought process of moving more items at once, I can see again that it's moving and sustainability is happening. And I'm actually getting like my top speeds of writing to the drives. Very, very amazing. And I was able to see the buffering in action with the cache system on my Synology. So you can see here the write speed increases. This is literally due to caching, and that's it. When we're coming back and being able to get it back to the desktop on these two items, again, we can see this connection happening at 1.9 gigabits per second. This is all through Wi-Fi, my friends. Just amazing. Okay, amazing. Again, another example here. Just what can I say? Just amazing. Now, on the LAN connections, now this is my network moving through, and you can see both connections connected to this router. They're all moving in sync, and you can see when it's dropping off on one connection, the other one's picking up. And this is why literally you can have that sustainability. At the same time, what is occurring is, if you wanted to, you could aggregate this and have one connection, so you can have 2 gigabits speed on this, and you can be off to the races in that regard. But once you set up everything in the back end, you want to do your tests on what's best for you, and you'll be good to go. Looking at that thought process of making a decision between the 88U and the 86U, then, well, if your hardware is sporting the same amount of CPU and memory size, you would assume that it will be able to push the same amount of speed. But in that, we found with the Wi-Fi 6, it wasn't hitting the top speed. The 88U is hitting 192 megabytes per second, and we're averaging in and around that 190 mark, where with the 86U, you are hitting over 200, and it's a sustained speed. Like, you're not seeing that up and down. When you're looking at it from in terms of the 88, you're seeing that bounce, and you're seeing that it is a little bit slower. That being said, you do have more ports on this thing, and you are able to then connect more things through the ports. So the question then becomes, do you need it for ports, and do you need to go for the 88U, or do you just want to focus on that 86U with that nice smooth Wi-Fi 6, 200 plus megabytes per second transfer rates, and that opportunity to use that 2.5 gigabit port on the back down the road? Now, on the back, you do have the USB connections, but you do have this regular internet connection and then a 2.5 connection. Now, where do you use the 2.5? The 2.5 can be either in from your provider, or connecting this to, say, your NAS system or something else that has a higher need. Now, 2.5 is an odd number. I wish they would have done like, at least a 5 here. But preferably, I would have rather seen, this 2.5 somehow be able to have a second connection. Because here's the issue: we have internet connection up to 1.5 gigabits per second. So I won't be able to use this 1 gigabit port anyways. And, the idea then becomes, why would you not have an extra one here so I can connect my NAS when I do switch over to the 1.5? On average, most people will be using the blue 1 gigabit speed connection here for their internet. But when you do upgrade to that 1.5, man, now you got to use this feature here. But this is where future proofing comes into play. And the future proofing people keep talking about. It is when you're going to upgrade your internet and you're going to need one of these. This will last you for the next couple years, several years, at least 3 years. Now, you do have another set of ports here, and you can do aggregation with this. When you're connecting your NAS, you can aggregate it, or you can leave it separate and tell the NAS system, hey, take from both lines so you don't have dropout. And the hardware is great, but let's jump more into the internals and let's see how these really fit the narrative in comparison to the other routers. When you enter the website, you will see a lot of branding, and the branding is once again on point by ASUS. ASUS does a great job on branding, and they really look at it from a perspective of what can it do. Look at our rewards, look at all this game-changing stuff we're doing, and then yes, we're offering game-changing stuff for your gaming. And the whole thought is, how do I make you connect faster to what you need to connect to? You have the GeForce Now, and you can get everything rolling in a nice setup for you with lightning fast 2 gigabit per second internet. And that's because you would be connecting, unlocking, as they say, the opportunity to connect um, your internet connection with this router on the 2.5 gigabit speed and the Wi-Fi 6. So let's look at the tech specs. And the critical one that I want to show here is the speed for transmitting power. There's a 3x3 and a 4x4 here for the 5 gigahertz. And it's all fueled by this 1.8 gigahertz quad core. We saw this in the 88U, and then in the 82U, we see a tri-core. And that's really the fundamental difference between these units and what they're capable of. It does come down to this chip. It also comes down to the memory. This is double the memory to that 82U. So when you're looking at the price point comparison, that's what you're really paying for here. And then they're giving some other features software related, but that's what you're really paying for. And always remember that, you're not getting the actual speed rates that they're listing here. These are just like this is like the marketing that comes with this. Is the total speeds that you're getting, not like the when you're on 2.4 gigahertz speed, you're not going to get double that speed with your unit. It's basically combination of all the different connections that can happen um, all at once. Now, again, the walkthrough here is similar, and I have to tell you right now, if you're looking at a router that added bonus protection of the malicious site blocking, uh, the software that they have installed, pre-installed, so it hits the router and it stops it before it comes to your computer. I've found benefit out of it, and I'm never thought I would say that, but I have found benefit in both the network one that I have at home and here. Very good, and the traffic control always on point with these routers. So I mean, there is lots of benefits overall with the tech specs that come with a unit from ASUS, specifically the AX86U, in comparison to that 82U. And then when you're comparing it to the price points of the 88U and that hardware on the back, that's those added ports if you need them. I mean, the 86U here wins hands down. So last set of questions that I've had before with routers, and does this have four antennas in it? Yes, it does. There's an internal antenna apparently. I did not open it. So there are four antennas of this. This does do the 4x4. At the end of the day, the question becomes, can I do good gaming on this? Yes, there is awesome protocol on this. There's a software you can set up. It's awesome. When you're doing data transfer, can you aggregate? Yes, you can aggregate to 2 gigabit speed, and you're off to the races. At the same time, I have found that not aggregating it does keep me more consistent, and I can get the speeds I want, especially with video editing and data transfer, as I showed you before. The last question that I'm going to look at, can I connect this with other routers and do the mesh setup kind of thing. So this is the beauty of this. If you did go and buy the other unit, or you're buying this unit and then you're looking at, okay, what am I going to do down the road? ASUS has been very good to be able to connect these routers. So if you want to go upgrade, say you didn't get this router, but now you're getting 1.5 gigabit speed coming in, and you're like, I want to upgrade, you can go buy this and then connect the other one to do the extension of it, and you're good to go. This is something that's awesome about when you go with the same company kind of thing, and when you use that technology. Do other routers have it too? Yes, they do. And you need to just put that into perspective. And distance is always a key. This I found has more distance than the other two routers that I was testing. And from the Netgear, it was about equivalent. And you'll find within the price range and the technology inside, most routers will have the similar price to technology to delivering on services that they're made for. They'll be about equivalent. At the same time, price wise, is this worth the money? I look at it and I say it was like $300. Okay. And that's in Canadian money. It's $330. In the States, I think it's like for $240, I believe. So, or $220. I saw it on sale, a new egg. So I mean, and it'll come down to like $200 on sales. Is that worth it? Well, in my case, where I'm buying this, I got it on sale for $300 in Canadian dollars. So with business wise, I'm breaking this down over 3 years, and I'm saying every year is $100. That's my expense on something like this. Okay. And for me, it's worth it. Why? Because I can do so much with this, and I'm connected. I have my rig connected, my laptop connected, everything's connected on Wi-Fi 6 to this, and then to the NAS. What more can I ask? I'm getting massive data transfer rates, and I have super fast internet speed with no downtime. What more can a guy ask for? That's it. For $300. Now, you tell me, what is convenience worth for you, and how does that look? For me, this is golden. So when you're comparing it, look at everything, compare everything, and ask yourself, what is it you really need and want? Check out the other videos. I have them below, and make the good decision for what you need in your workflow. Also, leave your questions below. If you have questions, I'll try and get you your answers.